Okay, welcome to Bitrix24 Live. I am Damien Edwards, the Commercial Manager of Bitrix24 Gold Partners. We're called Interface. Our contact details are on the screen there. We're based in the UK, the USA and the UAE, and we provide implementation and ongoing support for Bitrix24. With me, I have our technical manager, Andy Naylor.
Hi guys, so we're going to be here for the next hour answering your questions on Bitrix24. We can answer those questions whether it's on the free cloud version or the on-premise version. Then we can take those questions throughout this session. If you do have any questions that you think of in the week, during the week, please do send them over to sales@interface.com and we can start each session off with those questions. I do believe a few have come in.
So first question, I want to use Bitrix24 for project management. It's important to me that one task is dependent on another. And any delays in the first task will push back any dependent tasks and also alert me. This is possible. So we can do this. If we go into our demo site and go into our tasks, then we view tasks in a list view like this. We view in a couple of other different ways, like a Kanban, and we can also view them in a Gantt chart. So if you want to create a dependency between one task and another task, you need to view them on the Gantt chart. To create a dependency, hover over the end or the start of a task, and then drag to the start or the end of another task. That will create a dependency. Usually a dependency will look something like this. So in this case, when this one ends, this one will start. The question is that it's important that if there's a delay in the first one, that the second one should be pushed back. So we have start and end date on this task. If I drag this end date over, this will push back the start date of the dependent task. This little line here is a deadline. That operates slightly differently. This is the start date, this is the end date, and the red line is the deadline for it. So we can move a deadline like this. In fact, if this task has been started already, it will show up red after the deadline date. So it's quite a clear indication that you've gone past the deadline date. But changing the deadline date won't push back the date of any dependent task, but changing the end date will change in this case, change the start date of this dependent task. Second part of this was can it alert me? So look at automation rules. So if the end date is changed, I'm sure you can do that. To be honest, as standard. No, you probably won't be able to do it here. So I mean, you can do quite a bit here. So if it becomes overdue or if it becomes almost overdue, these are two triggers that you can use in order to change the stage of a task. So let's say we use the trigger overdue. We're going to change it to a stage we've actually got called overdue, and we could then send out an email to somebody to notify them that the task has actually gone into the stage overdue. So it won't tell you. I don't think as standard you can set it up to inform you if the end date has been changed, but you can be notified if the end date or the deadline date has been overrun, or in this case whether it's about to become overdue.
Yeah, I think we have, for one of our clients, we have actually set that up. So if you were to move the end date of a particular task, let's just say we have a staggered task here. If we were to move the end date of this particular task, then we can have it automatically set the start date and end date of those tasks after. But it would take a little bit of customization to do so. I think we've got another question, just with regards to one of our customers asked, when we attach a certain document to a meeting, can we have the system automatically email all users a link to that document? We will be storing these files in a group folder under Sales and Marketing called trip reports. So yeah, certainly. So if you click into the drive and then into the location, we'll go into company drive on here. And then if we have a particular folder, so I think we'll just look at the marketing material in this case. And then if we add a folder, I think you click on it down here, and we'll call it sales and marketing. And what we can do in here, so if we click into it, click into the little gear icon at the top up here, and then click on configure business processes. We just need to make sure that this checkbox is ticked. So we click on that, it's ticked. And then we click on the business processes tab here. So you can see we've got a library of all business processes in here. But what we'll do is we'll click on create a sequential business process. And this is going to be the important thing. So we'll give it a name, upload to drive, and here. And then what we can do is, this is the important thing here, when added. So what that's going to do is every time a document gets uploaded to the this particular folder, it's going to trigger this business process off. So if we leave when added checked, and then what you required was to send an email each time a document gets added to this particular folder. So what we can do is drag in interactive settings, click on email message, click on the little gear icon, and what we can do is specify who the sender of the email is. Just click on users, we can say Mike Black in that case, the recipient, and then what we can do is maybe we want to send it to all employees. So if we wanted to send it to all employees, we can click on there. And then we can say a new trip report has been uploaded. Ooh. And what we can do in here is we can put hello. And on the three dots to the right hand side of this, you can see here file view page URL. So that's probably going to be useful to you. So we can say, you can see message type here is text. If we switch to HTML, what we could do is put a bit of HTML in there, href. We've got the URL then of where you can view it. Click here to view trip report. Close the HTML. Then you might want to put some text in the bottom here. So that's how easy it is really. Click on save, and then you would click on save again, and then all would happen. You can see we have this one here, upload to drive. This is the only one being triggered when a document gets added to this folder. So if I go back into where I was, marketing material, sales and marketing, if I was then to upload a particular file into here, I don't think we've got too many files on this system, but if I was to select a file here, let's go and downloads, then every employee on the system would now receive an email, and it would be in here. So that's how easy it is to trigger business processes on new documents.
Okay, can't knowledge base be displayed in full screen? It can't, but there's quite a good reason for that. Have a look at it. Where's our knowledge base? In here. So firstly, if you click on knowledge base, the main link here, then it will open your knowledge base pages, and you can select any of these knowledge base pages and it will slide in. What we did was created a separate link for this, called it here KB. This would allow you to be working on, let's say, tasks, and to have a, oh no, with the task open, probably not, well, it probably would actually, task open, no, you need to close the task, but it'll have you working on the task screen or any of your CRM screens, and click into your knowledge base and do your search inside here without fully leaving your task pages. You'll be able to do the same thing from CRM, I guess. Let's go into a company's list, and then we can open up our knowledge base again from here. So you're not backwards and forwards between the screens, it's always available. But as standard, if you go to your standard knowledge base link, then it will take you to your knowledge base home page, but we created a custom link directly to the knowledge base. Create custom links in configure menu, not in configure menu. Create your custom links in add custom menu item, create the URL, add the URL to that link. I think we did, let's go back into the knowledge base. We found out the URL. Where do you get to the settings page of this? Found out the URL. You can actually call it anything you like. In this case, we've called it this. This is a full URL, these two parts, and then we created a custom link to it so that you can access it from any page. So can't be opened on a full page view, but it's quite useful how it works, we think.
Got another question, just with regards to the CRM marketing module in Bitrix, and can emails be scheduled? So yeah, absolutely. I mean, Bitrix in their CRM marketing package have all the standard tools that any full-blown email marketing tool would have. So if we wanted to create a new email campaign, what we can do here is specify the template we want to use. So we can see here we have a Halloween template. But when we actually scroll down to the bottom and click on save, then it's going to, in fact, we need to send it to a segment first. So let's just click on that and then click on save. It's then going to ask us how we want to send this. So if we don't want to send it straight away, we can send it later manually. But you can see here that we can schedule it. So if we wanted it to go on Friday, so tomorrow at a particular time, then we can schedule this to do so. So it's like I say, you can send it now immediately, you can manually do it later on, or you can schedule it. So if we click on save, so when you say you want to do it later manually, it will then appear in the campaigns list here. So if you click on campaigns list, you can see Halloween of January 23rd, and then you get this green send now button. And once you press that, your campaign will get sent out, and then after a while, you will see here, for example, the statistics of how many people opened it, how many people viewed it, if you've had any unsubscribes, and so on and so forth. So it does give you all the statistical data as well, based on your campaign.
Okay, when processing a workflow, either when I have bind to CRM, information doesn't display on the CRM contact leads page. For example, a task created does not display unless I create a CRM business process. Too sure exactly what you mean. Andy might be able to help with this, but let's have a look at where you create these business processes. So you're creating a business process on a contact or a lead or something, I think. Go to the settings and automation and business process, and if we go to well, I'm not too sure what you're doing. I mean, you just bind to CRM when you create a custom field, wouldn't you?
No, so I think if you're doing a business process, so you mentioned a task, so we'll have a manual business process, create task, and we'll have it when added. I think what you're referring to is when you bring in the task, you're having this selected down here where it says bind to current CRM entity. So if you click on this as yes, whatever, this should work. So this should be, we'll just call it test task. And then if we run this as Max Smith, Jake, and we can put some details in here. I mean, this should always bind to your contact that you're running it from. So if I click into the contact now, went to Bob Taylor, click into here, and I think that looks like the one that they've just done. Maybe it wasn't. Create task, sorry. Click into here. You can now see the task has been bound. It should always be in the planned section, and it should always bind to the entity that you run it off. I mean, creating a workflow via the workflow in the activity stream, yeah, you won't be able to bind it to a, because you're not running it from the CRM, you can't bind it to it. Maybe what you could do is in your settings, let's have a look if it's possible. So if we were to add a field, maybe, add a field, and we'll call it company, and then we have bind to CRM items here, and we just make the company available. And then in your workflow, if we click into actions and then configure, I'm not sure if it gives you a field to, let's have a look in here. Yeah, I don't think you would be able, you don't have the field, because you won't be able to do this. If you set that to yes, it wouldn't know which you would be binding it to, so that would never work within a on here. Maybe if we try and do it this way, and just cut that, and then in here, I don't think that would work. Yes, it wouldn't let you do that. So you couldn't bind this particular task to a CRM entity from a workflow. You could bind it to a work group. But yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't look like you can do that.
Okay, there's the contact details. As we said, we're at Bitrix24 partners called it Interface. Get in touch with us if you want a demo of the system at all, or if you've got any other technical questions at all on any of those telephone numbers, or sales@interface.com. What is the difference between a work group and a project group? Let's have a look. So if we go into our work groups over here, and we go into create, then it gives you the options, shows you what's available in terms of types of groups that you can create. So these are work groups at the top, at the bottom these are project groups, and two differences. That one of the main differences is that a project group has a start and end date, so a deadline date. Work groups are intended for groups that aren't intended to be closed at any point. So a project group has their end date, and you can report on whether a project has gone beyond that end date, and also the modules that are available inside the work group slightly different or in a different order. So we'll look inside here. So this is a work group. Homepage is a general tab with an activity stream. In a project group, the homepage is a task tab. So you get to see all those tasks that you need to deliver to complete the project as your homepage, something like this. So that's the main difference, just a different layout for the modules, and the fact that a project group has a deadline date.
Another question, is there a limit to the number of contacts I can store in the CRM? I just need to just double check with regards to that. If you go to the Bitrix24 website and click on there, I do believe if if you go to the CRM, here we no, that's emails, isn't it? Do you know if there is a limit?
Contacts, number of contacts you can store in the CRM?
Yeah.
No, there isn't. No, sorry, there is no limit to the number of contacts that you can create in the CRM. So some CRM providers price based on number of records that you can create.
Searchable.
Searchable, okay.
So there's not a limit by the looks of it in terms of actually storing them.
You can create as many as you want. So it's not Bitrix is not priced like that. It's priced based on the features that are available in different packages, but not the number of records like that.
Yeah, I think there are some restrictions, aren't there, in terms of the packages that you go along, as there would be with any. So you've got storage, you've got the amount of marketing emails that you can send, you've got obviously users increases as you go through to the business plans. You have a number of marketing emails, sites is another one. So obviously the more expensive a package is, the more features become. But there are fantastic features in Bitrix, even for the free version. There are CRM tasks. But as you progress, a few more and more features do get introduced.
Yeah, can I integrate Sage into Bitrix24? If we go into our site here, if we go into applications, then you can see what's available to integrate. So I can search, so that is Sage is a finance package. See if we can find finance packages. Pretty sure it's not available. We'll have a look at which ones are available. Accounting. Search for those unless it's a new one. It's not available. So you've got a standard QuickBooks, Xero, and FreshBooks available. It's finance packages that are available to integrate. Pre-built integration is available with those packages. So that would mean that when you win a deal inside the CRM in Bitrix, that could generate an invoice in your finance package automatically. If you want to integrate Sage, and as it's not available, you can do that through the API. You need a self-hosted edition of Bitrix, and you can create that. You could develop that integration. There's going to be a cost because you need a different license, and there's going to be some work to develop it. The on-premise, here it is, priced slightly differently. You pay based on the numbers of users, and you pay annually, and you pay essentially for a lifetime license. You get updates for the first 12 months, and then if you want to buy updates after that, you pay 25% of the original price. So let's look at an example here. 50 user here, business 50, $2,990 for a lifetime license. That'll get you a 50 user license, and then per annum after that, 25% of that, about $750 per year for all the updates on that product. So it's a bit more in the first year, but it's quite inexpensive. Year after that, you need to consider though that you need to provide some hosting, so you'll need a web hosting package, or you need a server at your office, or you can come to a partner such as ourselves, order from partners. Click on this link here, come to a partner such as ourselves, and we'll provide there we are, interface will provide a hosting solution in our data center that can be wherever you are in the world, so the US, the UK, Europe. We can create an instance at a local data center. We use either Google Cloud Compute Platform or Amazon Web Services. So it's very simple to install an instance of self-hosted instance on one of those platforms for you. It does have, go into too much, but it does have additional features as well. You've got a control panel here. This is a self-hosted instance. Got a control panel that allows you to create and edit the pages you're on, and it has this drop-down tool which allows you to create and edit pages you're on. It has a control panel that I click into here. which allows you to configure in quite a lot of detail how the features of the front end operate. So, how do I limit sales employees from changing responsible person to a lead or a deal? Do that. Let's go into the CRM. So if you go to the CRM, if you're an admin, you'll see the settings button. Click on settings. Just open leads up firstly in another tab. Open up a lead firstly. So every record inside the CRM is responsible, has a responsible user. You can see that user here. And if we go into the settings and into permissions and access permissions, and what we need to do is create a role or edit an existing role and then assign it to a user or a group of users. So let's look at this sales executive role that we have already. Click into the edit button, and we're looking at leads and deals. So here's our deals. Then you can see the deals here. We have actually had quite a lot of deals down the left hand side. These are all the different deal pipelines that we created. So if you've got more than one pipeline, you can create different permissions for each of those pipelines. Going across, we can specify the read, add, update, delete, export and import settings for deals. So you want to prevent them from reading, I think it's accessing, to limit sales from changing. Okay, so you probably want to be able to, let's put this at all, so you probably want to let them to read all deals, maybe to add, no restriction on add, update would be the one you'd want to restrict. So if you change that to personal, then you'd only be able to change, update, add content to deals that you're responsible for. You can change that to ones that you're responsible for and ones that are have a responsible person that's in the same department as yourself. So that might be someone who's in a UK or US sales team. You can change their own other people's as well. So there's a few different levels that you can go down. You might want to restrict them, let's say deleting. You might want to prevent people from exporting and importing as well. But this is the one, update. Do that on deals. Do that on every single deal pipeline. On deals and leads, they have stages. So if I click on that drop down button, you can see that I can see the stages that we have set up for these deals as well. You'd actually have to go into this and change it for each stage, unless you wanted the permissions to change as the deal stage changes. It might be that when you get to closed stage or something that you want to fully restrict access to be able to change a deal. Do the same inside leads as well. If you scroll down here, leads are at the bottom. You can do the same if you go across. So if you save that permission structure, which you've done that, you just need to apply that. So that we've got one here already called Sales Department, Sales North. All you need to do is make sure that they've got this sales executive role applied to them. Can actually add roles by individual user group, by departments, or just individual users. Give this one user this sales executive role if we wanted to do that. So you can set permissions in quite a lot of detail inside that settings page in the CRM.
Got a question. Can you elaborate on edit list item and read list item in task automation? Yeah, so I mean the edit list item and read list item just gives you the ability. So in Bitrix we have these lists, as I'm sure you're aware now. We've covered these on a few of these sessions. So for example, we have the budgets list here. You can see name, current budget, spend, and available amount. And then we're going to task automation. I guess probably the one that you are going to be using most is create new list item. So if we go into here, click on add, and we would often see this being used, create list item, so we can select the list for budgets, and then we can fill in the relevant fields. So when a task moves to this, it'll get added to the budget. Now, edit list item, it can be a little bit difficult because you do need to know the item ID. So the item ID is with reference to the actual row ID. So if I just open up in a new tab, so it can be a little bit difficult of how you obtain this list ID, because I think we have used it in the on-premise, we can pass it. But if you click on here, click on ID, this is what we're referring to. So if I wanted to edit this row within, I can click on here, copy, and then in our automation rules, I would enter in 2134 for the budgets, and then we can change the current budget to equal 2,500. So that's how you would edit. You would need to obtain this. That's the hard part of it. I guess what you could possibly do is create a custom field in a task to store maybe what this task is associated to when you create it. That could be useful. And then what that would allow you to do is it would allow you to pull that custom field in here. So if we had a custom field called list ID, we would select it here, and it would be unique to every task that gets created. That would be quite useful in terms of that. And with regards to read, it's not something that I've used before within here. Now, obviously, when you select budgets, you have the possible fields to select from here. But what you actually do with that, I'm not 100% certain. Are you?
No.
No. Because if you pasted the ID in here again, which is something that you would need, and you wanted to grab the current budget, that's what you would do. But what you do with this value, I'm not 100% sure yet, because they don't have. If they did have the workflow designer tool like you see in the CRM, where you can get all the values in there, then you could use it to pull in the value from that. And I guess that's where this is going to be heading to, and that would be useful functionality for the read list item, because you'd be able to use the item that you're reading and populate it into the actual task itself.
Okay, are you aware of any restrictions of knowledge base module to external users? My use case is a project where I need to share some manuals to customer end users. Let's have a look. Where's our work groups? So let's have a look at, so these ones which are yellowy orange, these are external work groups. They have a knowledge base in here. So let's have a look if we have an external user. We do. We have this external user, Tara Green. So let's just switch.
Is there a knowledge base built for this?
So we have to build. Okay.
There is. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we've got some pages in there. Okay, let's just switch to Tara Green. We're on a self-hosted instance. We can switch users here quite easily. Let's go back into our site, and if we have a look for the work group we were in, Bitrix knowledge base. Oops. Just finish that off. So looks like it's denied. That's So
let's just double check. Come back into here. Because you can set the permissions for the knowledge base, can't you? I just didn't know if you could set it for external users. So you go into knowledge base, you can see access permissions. I just wondered if you could. So if we just said this was external, and the ability to view. Maybe denied access to create. And then if we add user groups, extranet users here, and then if we give them the external, and maybe if we go back to where we were, and switch to our extranet user, no. So I'm guessing what we would need to do is just have a play around with that in terms of those access permissions, because you can select the external user. I guess we've just got a setting wrong in there somewhere.
Yeah, I wonder if it would work if we tried it on the cloud edition. It's quite a new module. Might be that it's still in beta. It might be that it needs some. So it wouldn't be available. I don't know if it's still beta on the cloud edition, but it wouldn't be available through your normal updates. So it's just in testing mode. So it looks like the link's available to those extranet users, but getting access denied. So there needs to be some either changes to the settings, or there may be a bug with it as it's still in testing mode. But I think in answer to your question, it looks like that's going to be available to extranet users, or you can make them available through the settings to an extranet user, and similarly, it looks like you can probably hide them to extranet users as well.
And just give one more go, see if we can. Because it would make sense if you could have your external users, like you say, you see content on here. No. So I guess we just need to have a test and have a play around with that.
Okay, I have an on-premise edition of Bitrix if I need help customizing the product. Who can help me? So with the on-premise, you do have a help center here. Clicking the link on the right-hand side, same as you do for the cloud. There is some additional documentation for on-premise. You need to know some more technical information, especially around hosting, and there's a lot more configuration that you can do. So there is, if you go to the documentation center on Bitrix24.com, the support page there, you can find links to go to the on-premise documentation. You can create tickets with Bitrix, and you can contact partners. So we can provide telephone support for on-premise, and it's well worth having support. I think for the on-premise edition, it is a lot more complex. It does have this things like this edit mode here. You can go into edit mode, and I can then edit elements of the page. Click in the settings, I can edit the elements of that page like this. So you can't do those sort of things with the self-hosted. If I go into drop down here, I can create different pages and sections, and it looks like I've also got a control panel. Within the control panel, you can actually access files and folders. So you've got access to go in and drill down and access the PHP files of the system, actually edit them within here using one of these editor tools. So there's a lot more to it, so you probably need help, especially if you want to customize it or do any special configurations.
I've got a question, Heather. How would one use Bitrix24 to deliver e-learning with students as external users and freelancing teachers? I'd probably recommend getting in touch with us. We'll put our contact details up on the screen for maybe a one-to-one demonstration of this. But what Bitrix has is, on the on-premise version, we do actually have an e-learning module. And if we click into here, we can specify courses, and within those courses, we can have lessons, and then we can have different questions, and we can set tests for those particular. So you can see in here, new employee handbook contains 15 different lessons. If we were to click into here, we'd be able to see each lesson that is associated with this particular course. Again, you can split your courses into chapters. You can have tests at the end of each chapter, and then you would get all your results. Within here, you can see at the moment we have attempts 2 and two successful out of 7. So we can put this on the extranet. It is possible to do that on the on-premise. So I probably would get in touch with us, and maybe one of our guys can take you through how this would work. But yeah, it's really good because if you can put it on your extranet, you obviously get unlimited extranet users for free on Bitrix. So you can invite as many of your students in, and your extranet can be styled up on the on-premise version. So you can put your own badges, your own banners on the side. You can style it up however you wish.
Yeah, if you've already got a cloud, then I suppose the knowledge base will allow you to deliver content. If you can fix that issue about the extranet, allow you to deliver content, share content, course content with an extranet user, but you can't do tests. So with the e-learning, you can create questions. They can have multiple choice answers, or different options about what sort of questions you can create, and then you can see results from those people that took those tests. So it depends what you want, really, what you want to do. Put all the details up there. Just got a few minutes left if you've got any more questions. Put them in the box. Okay, how do I adapt the annual leave workflow? I want to add an extra approval stage. Show you how to do that. If we go into the activity stream and then into the workflows link here, and if we go to our workflows directory, click in workflows at the top right hand corner. So the annual leave, leave approval, request leave approval. One of them's a custom version. Let's see if I've got the right one. Click into the workflows and open up the business process here. So let's go back. I want a different one. Request leave. So let's look at this leave approval. Click into configure workflows. Click into here. So this is the leave approval we have in the system here. You can see that there is an approval stage here, whereby if it's no, then the process comes to an end after setting the status and sending out a notification. If it's yes, it sends out a notification, and based on what type of leave they've requested, one of these 3 types, it will add it to a calendar here. But if you want to add an additional an approval for this, you can do that. So have a look under approval element here. So we just need to put this in. Let's put it in there. So once it's been approved at this stage, we can add an additional approval element in there. In fact, slightly different, isn't it, this one? If that's a different action block to this one. Essentially, you're using these approval elements.
This is condition, isn't it? The approval elements here.
Oh, right, okay, sorry, I put it in the wrong place. Okay, so once we've got this approved, okay, in this case then the approval element is here. When it's rejected, it goes down this route. When it's approved, you want to add an additional approval element in, then we can drop that into there. And so once it's approved, changes the status. In fact, you want to put it in here before we change the status probably, and then we'll put the status, move this status up to here. So we need this first approval and then a second approval. Only after the second approval will we get the status changed. You can configure who's going to be the approvers, the second level approvers, by clicking in the settings button. Put in your approving voters in here. Select the users from the list inside here. Add in the description of the notification that they're going to receive, and some of the settings down there that you can use. So you can do it inside this part. Yeah, sorry, I got the wrong section down here. This was around notifying people once the approval's been set. and changing the absence chart based on what type of leave it was. But it is this section here that you need to be looking at for that. Okay, so your questions. I don't think we've got any more questions in the pending. Let's have a quick look.
Is there any way one would do compensation plans for staff to automate their commission-based payments? So I guess, I mean, that's quite a large question, but I mean, we do have people that use the deals within the CRM because the deals are where the values are associated against them, and then based on which user is associated to that deal, you can run a report on how much they've generated in a month, and then you can calculate a commission based off that. I think with the calculations, you are again looking more towards the on-premise version, because we can use, there's a block that's different to the cloud version. We have a PHP block that we can use to calculate those particular types of commissions. So yeah, you would probably be...
You can't do it on the cloud. Yeah, I don't think so. You can't sort of specify a 5% commission on based on sales value. There isn't a way of doing that, so calculating that field out. So you can just calculate the total sales value. Of course, you can do a report that show you the total sales value in a particular time period, say a month, for a particular salesperson, because all deals and deals and quotes are going to be associated with a particular user. So you can work out the sales, the total sales they've done.
I mean, you could use, if you go to the CRM and to the start menu, it may be that, and you can do this on both the cloud and the on-premise version, it may be that you set sales targets. So you can see here, John Smith is 115% over, 115% capacity of his target, so it's 10,000. You can see here 11,600 has been a one deal, and again that's what this value is calculated against, one deals for the month. Of this time it's August. But as an administrator or somebody who can configure these, you can set the targets for each month. And maybe you would have to calculate the commission manually from this if you wanted to stay with the cloud, but it would give you a clear indication of what somebody has generated inside Bitrix month on month. Okay.
Okay, it doesn't look like we have any more questions in the system, but if you want to subscribe, then you'll receive notifications about when we go live next time, but at the same time every week. And if you want to go to intraface.com/webinars, you can register for webinars, which we do on a Monday as well. That's all we have for now. Thanks for your time. Bye for now.